Howdy everyone, it's Sam. Welcome to the Wobble Enjoy Sports channel. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider liking the content and subscribing to the channel. But if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you so much for the continuous support. Please excuse the next couple of seconds of loud noise, but I have to. Hell yeah, dude. The North Queensland Cowboys, their new era it starts this weekend, man, in the form of being one of the 4 new teams to enter into the NRLW competition. Terribly friggin' excited. Now, before I continue on any further, I do just want to make mention of the previews or the lack thereof for the rest of the NRLW clubs. I just haven't done it except for my own club, which you can check out in the list below, or I'll even link it in the description box below or the comment section. But no, I haven't previewed any of the other NRLW clubs, so I do apologize for that, but I have been focusing more on what's been going on outside of the world of YouTube, bro, where it might be a little bit more financially better for me. So I do apologize for that. But right now, I'm going to give you my best preview, my best predictions, my best tips for every club coming into this weekend, all the way up until grand final day. So without further ado, this is round 1 of the 2023 NRLW season. The very first game of the 2023 NRLW season is from Cbus Super Stadium. The Gold Coast Titans host the new girls on the block, the North Queensland Cowboys. There are no odds for any game this weekend so far. What I can tell you is that the Sydney Roosters are coming into this season as the favourites, and this is on Sportsbet. The Roosters are $3 favourites to take out the premiership. The Gold Coast Titans have $10 about them. North Queensland Cowboys are equal last with the Raiders and the Tigers at $17, and I am only too excited and confident to tell you they're going to surprise a lot of clubs, and they're going to finish on top of a few clubs by the conclusion of the NRLW season, that's for sure. So team lists have been announced, starting with the home side first. The Titans, Avanier Palete is the fullback. Destiny Mino Sinapati, one wing. Emily Bass, a Brisbane Broncos recruit, comes onto the wing in jersey number 5. Destiny Mino Sinapati, fullback for the Queensland Under-19s State of Origin game just recently. Jamie Chapman and Niall Williams-Guthrie are the centres. Jamie Chapman, New South Wales representative, Jillaroos representative. So yeah, a huge pickup for the Titans. Talia Fuimaano and Shante Kirioratu are the halves pairing. The forward back, Marto, Brown and Elliston. The back row, Canfield, Bent and captain Georgia Hale. And then the interchange reads Brittany Brearley-Nati, Stephanie Hancock, Haley J. Ormond-Maunsell, and Laker Clark. In jersey number 18 is young Queensland Under-19s representative is Sienna Lafipo. And unfortunately, Riley Jorgensen, you got to be patient for great things, but Riley Jorgensen, been named in jersey number 21. It would have been fantastic to have seen her take the paddock this weekend, but her time will come. And when you guys see how she rocks and rolls, if you didn't see what she did in a Woman of the Match performance for the Under-19s game recently, oh man, what a treat. What an absolute superstar of the future she is going to be. But that is a really good side for the Titans. The Titans, they are one of the teams this season that have recruited really well. It's a brand new look for them, and they're going to be a really difficult side to try and contain. Moving on to the North Queensland Cowboys now. Oh man, going in at fullback, Francesca Goldthorpe. The wingers, China Palata and Autumn Rain Stevens-Daly. China Palata represented Queensland in the State of Origin recently. Miss Stevens-Daly is a Kiwi international, and the fullback is an England international. A really young thing, I believe just under 21 years of age, or 22, but she's an important Oh man, I cannot wait to see how she rocks and rolls in the NRLW. And the centres, Jasmine Peters and Maya Middleton. Maya Middleton coming from the Newcastle system, a New South Wales player, a player from New South Wales, I should say. And Jasmine Peters also playing up against her old club and was one of the first signings for the North Queensland Cowboys. And she played about 3 or 4 games for the Gold Coast Titans, maybe 5 in seasons gone past. The halves pairing, Tallulah Tillett and Kira Dibb. I think that's a fantastic halves pairing, and it's great to see Tillett there because there was a point of concern, or there was an injury cloud that she may not have played in this game. But there she is, the forward pack now. Talisha Harden, Emma Mantleman, and Tiana Rastrand-Smith. Wasn't expecting that, wasn't anticipating that, but it's still a blockbuster front row. And Emma Mantleman, she is my friggin' Wonder Woman, bro. The back row, Shania Power, Bree Chester, and Mackenzie Wheel. Shania Power, one of the best second rowers in the NRLW. Bree Chester, a young Indigenous All-Stars second rower, so she must have trained the house down to take up that second row spot and maybe move Talisha Harden into the front row. So that's fantastic stuff. And Mackenzie Wheel, she is a Newcastle Knights NRLW Premiership winning player, and she's been doing her thing for the Mackay Cutters, or she did her thing for the BMD Premiership Mackay Cutters team. And yeah, she is very, very impressive. The interchange bench, Crystal Blackwell, a Canberra player, a lady from Canberra, or maybe Goulburn, but she is from pretty much where I'm from, bro. So wow, she's really must have impressed, and she's going to be wearing jersey number 14. That's cool stuff, man. In jersey 15, Sarika Muka, Shelley Long, and S.A. Banu in jersey number 17. Muka and Banu, fantastic stuff. I'm just going to tickle my own fancy and go into the reserves list. So April Natapuna and Jessica Reeves, they've been named in the reserves list for the North Queensland Cowboys NRLW side. So for the Gold Coast Titans, there have been 8 changes, the likes of a Jamie Chapman, Talia Fuimaono, and other players in there as well. So there's been a lot of player overhaul for the Gold Coast Titans. But the Titans are last year's wooden spooners. I wouldn't say that they were truly awful to have nabbed that wooden spoon, but such was the shortness of the season, and such was the closeness of the competition of last year's NRLW campaign. The Titans were the worst scoring side in 2022, and what makes me confident about the Cowboys this Saturday is that the Titans last year were only able to score 58 points. The Mackay Cutters, who I've mentioned plenty of times on this channel, who play in the Queensland Rugby League competition, the women's competition, they were able to score 196 points in their campaign, and the BMD Premiership is 2 rounds more, or was 2 rounds more than the NRLW season last year, but still that's well over 130, 140 attacking points in just 2 extra games for the Mackay Cutters. The reason why I mention the Mackay Cutters is that this North Queensland Cowboys outfit has a hell of a lot of them playing for the North Queensland Cowboys this Saturday. So, and then you look into the defensive side, that is relatively more even. So the Titans do have a good platform to work off from defensively, but it's attacking wise. And you put in Dibb and Tillett. Dibb, arguably the best half from last season, and really unlucky and unfairly pushed to the edge in State of Origin this season, and she proved a lot of people wrong, and she really kicked some ass in the New South Wales City versus Country game that happened about 7 weeks ago or so. I'm so excited about Kira Dibb, man, and she is a co-captain alongside with Talisha Harden as well. You know who I'm going to tip. I'm going to go North Queensland Cowboys, but I'm going to show some respect to the Titans and say the Cowboys will win a thriller on the Gold Coast, 1-12. Saturday from 3:10 p.m. The second game of round number 1 is from McDonald Jones Stadium. The Knights, the Premiers, host the St. George Illawarra Dragons, and you would suggest that the Knights are coming into the game as favourites. This is the third meeting between the Knights and the Dragons, and the Knights have a 2-1 record over the Dragons. And the last time they met was back in the semi-final, or if you prefer, preliminary final last year, where the Knights absolutely flogged the Dragons. As a matter of fact, in the 3 encounters these two clubs have had against each other, the scoreline has resulted in a 20-plus point victory for either side. So there has not been a close game between the two yet. We might see it this weekend. Coming into this game, last year the Knights finished on the ladder second, the Dragons third, but both these sides arguably probably have been the most decimated, the most changed of any of the NRLW clubs coming into this season for sure, man. Let's get into the team list now, and starting at fullback for Newcastle, Tamika Upton, probably the best fullback in the game and one of the top 5 players in the competition as well. She is incredible. The wingers, Sheridan Gallagher and Jasmine Strange, Shanice Parker and Abigail Roach. The halves, Caitlin Moran and Jessie Southwell. The forward pack now, Tyler Pettibon, Olivia Higgins and Rima Butler. The back row, Caitlin Johnston starting in a second row, Yasmin Clydesdale and Layshon Albert Jones. Now, Hannah Southwell has been named as a captain or co-captain, but she's recovering from ACL and she's just missed the start. So she should return in either round 2 or 3. But Hannah Southwell will not play in this game. The interchange, Nita Maynard, Kayla Romanuik, Simone Carpene, and Vienna Tennell. Going into the Dragons team list now, Tegan Berry moving from wing to fullback. Let's go, dude. Tegan Berry in the fullback, Taylor Mapasua and Keely Brown, Bobby Law, Shania Lendill and Bobby Law playing up against her old club in the Newcastle Knights. Playing in the centre is Miss Law. And the halves pairing is Tyler Nathan Wong and the Dalian medalist from last season, Racine McGregor. A shift from Roosters to the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Jamie Soward, the head coach for the Dragons, weaving a bit of his magic there. The forward pack now for the Dragons. In jersey number 8, Angelina Tiakaranga Katoa, Rainey Target, Tara McGrath West is the front row, and then the back row, Sarah Sautia, Roxy Murdoch, and Alexis Tawaniae. And the interchange bench, Zali Hopkins, Ella Costa, Jamie Lee Bright, and Madison Weatherall. Now, I can only do this so respectfully, right? But if I had to have someone push me towards a cliff, I'd say that the Cowboys are going to be finishing either over one of or both of these clubs this season. I think the forward pack of the Dragons does raise my eyebrow a little bit more than the forward pack for the Knights, but I do think the Knights overall do have the stronger side. Jasmine Strange as well, bro. I think she played in the City Country as well recently, and she had a banger of a contest. One of City's best, if not country. But yes, Jasmine Strange is a player you should look out for, and she has moved from the Roosters, I believe, up to the Newcastle Knights. Newcastle Knights, I think they'll have too much for the St. George Illawarra Dragons, but Racine McGregor, the Dalian medalist, playing in at halfback, they will be in this game, but I'm going to go the Knights to win this game 1-12. And the final game on Saturday from 7:45 p.m. up at the Sunshine Coast Stadium. It is arguably the biggest rivalry in the NRLW, the Brisbane Broncos versus the Roosters from Sunshine Coast Stadium. And I would tend to suggest that the Roosters would be coming into the game as the favourites, the Broncos outsiders. The reason for that being the Broncos finally came back down to earth after dominating the competition since its inception in 2018, finishing second last outside of the finals for the first time in their history. And the Sydney Roosters, bro, they went throughout the year last year undefeated up until the bloody Parramatta Eels sprung one of the biggest upsets of all time, just about, bro, defeating the Roosters up at Suncorp that day. let's go into the team list news, starting with the Brisbane Broncos. There are changes. There are players missing. Hadley Maddock is at fullback. Julia Robinson, Ashley Werner are the wingers. Mele Hafanga and Shanae Shizolka are the centres. And Gail Broughton and Ali Brigginshaw will be the 5, 8 and halfback pairing. Interesting, Gail Broughton will be playing 5'8" and not fullback. Gail Broughton has been brought up from the Parramatta Eels, where she did play fullback. So, but hey, she's an international, Gail Broughton, so I'm sure she'll absolutely play it at the 5'8" position with a blindfold on. Going into the forward pack now, Aneta Claudia Nuasala, Destiny Brill, and Chelsea Lenardazzi are the front row pairing. And then Tasman Gray, Romy Teitzel, and Mariah Denman are the back row. Ooh, that is a starting forward pack, bro. The interchange, Jada Ferguson, Philomena Hannessy, Tafito Lafaeli, and Lauren Dam round out the rest of the interchange bench for the Brisbane Broncos. Now, over to the premiership favourites, the Sydney Roosters. At fullback, Corbin Baxter. She's been out of the game for well over a year due to giving birth, and so it is going to be exceptional to see her run around again. The wingers, Bridie Parker and Jamie Frizzard, and then that centre pairing in Jessica Surgis and Isabel Kelly, the best in the game and throughout all of rugby league, I don't care. The halves pairing, Taryn Aiken and Jocelyn Kelleher are the halves pairing, and Taryn Aiken coming up against her old side in the Brisbane Broncos, and Jocelyn Kelleher impressed in City Country and has impressed in her limited opportunities at the Roosters from last season. The forward pack, Millie Boyle, Keely Davis, Maya Hill Moana, Amber Hall, Olivia Kernick, and Keely Joseph. Well, this bloody match is worth the price of admission alone just for the forward pack, or you know how it goes. And also Amber Hall playing up against her old side in the Brisbane Broncos in this game. And the interchange reads Shorten Burton, Kalisapane Hopawate, Otessa Pule, and Jolie Morris. The likes of a Hopawate did represent New South Wales in the State of Origin Under-19s game this season. And going into the overall head-to-head record between the two sides, this will be the 9th meeting between the two. And the Broncos, they have a 6-2 record over the Sydney Roosters. The Roosters, those two wins have come back-to-back recently. The past two games, Roosters have won. And yeah, just Taryn Aiken and Amber Hall. This is probably the hidden storyline, or the storyline of the entire weekend, besides the new clubs coming into the competition. It's a pretty high profile contest, man. It's going to be great to see this forward pack battle. I got excited just then, man. I can't go past the Sydney Roosters. That is an extremely talented lineup, despite the fact that the Roosters have copped a couple of season-ending injuries to a couple of their younger players as well. But Sydney Roosters win this game 1-12. Moving into Sunday now, and game number 1 from midday on Sunday from CommBank Stadium sees the Eels versus the West Tigers. And you would tend to suggest that the Eels, the beaten grand finalists of last year, would be slight favourites. If not, I reckon this would be $1.90 each way. Starting with the Parramatta Eels first up. At fullback, Abby Church. The wingers, Zali Faye and Casey Tohi Hiku. The centres, Mahalia Murphy and Chantel Stowers. Then the halves pairing is Pihuka Berryman Duff and Rachel Pearson. Rachel Pearson, I'm a big fan of. She moved from Dragons to the Parramatta Eels, so a nice new inclusion for the Eels. The forward pack, Elsie Albert in a jersey number 8. Jersey number 9, Ruben Cherrington. Ruby Jean Kennard Ellis is the other prop. The back row now, Amelia Murphy, Talisha Quinn, and Captain Kennedy Cherrington in at lock. The interchange reads Capri Payakal, Jade Fonua, Shannon Muru, and Madeline Jones. Shifting now to the West Tigers. This is such a big moment. It really is. Kiwi international Batili Vete Walsh returns to the NRLW, playing first up for the West Tigers in the fullback position. it's a long time coming, bro. She did her ACL, and I cannot wait to see how she goes around. She's already played the trial. She did play in the trial, where unfortunately the Tigers got towelled up. But you know, if practice makes perfect, or returns, or knocking the cobwebs off, right? She'll be better for the run. So Batili Veti Walsh is the fullback, Jakia Whitfield and Josie Lenaz, the wingers, Rakaya Horn and Leanne Tafuga are the centres, and Pauline Pillay Razabali, 5'8", and Emily Curtin is the halfback. The forward pack, Sarah Togatuki, Christian Pio, and Ebony Pryor, the front row. The back row, Kezi, Apps, Eliza, Silata, and Nelvada George are the back row. And the interchange is Sophie Curtin, Losana Lutu, Taylor Osborne, and Falau Vaki. And I would have suggested that Lutu would have started in the lock position, but keep an eye out for Lutu in this game. Yeah, Eels, they are one of the other teams throughout the off-season that have been decimated through the inception of new clubs and just players deciding to part ways and play elsewhere, man. So the Eels, they are very, besides Kennedy Cherrington, Abby Church and Zali Faye, it's a new look Parramatta Eels outfit, man. The West Tigers, obviously, brand new era for the club with the introduction of the NRLW side. And Togatuki, Apps, George, there's some really handy players there. And as mentioned, BVW in there as well. I don't know. This is a really evenly matched contest. Bugger it. I'll go the new kids on the block. I'm going to tip the West Tigers to win this game, man. Elsie Albert, though, for the Parramatta Eels is going to be huge. I'm going to go the West Tigers to win this game, man. And the final game of round number 1 is from PointsBet Stadium, where we see the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks host the Canberra Raiders, 2 of the 4 new clubs going head-to-head this Sunday from 1:50 p.m. Going into the team list now for the Sharks, first of all, who are coming into this game as the most anticipated side, in my opinion, of the entire competition. This side is stacked. Going into fullback now, Jada Taylor, the wingers, Anessa Biddle and Andy Robinson. Tiana Penatane and Kiana Takarangi are the centres, and the halves pairing is Emma Tonagato and Taylor Preston. Taylor Preston coming from the Parramatta Eels, Tonagato from the Dragons. The forward pack, Ellie Johnston, Quincy Dodd, and Tegan Dimmick. The back row, Talei Holmes, Vanessa Foliaki, and Brooke Anderson. The interchange, Serena Nato Katako. Nato Katoka, and Harata Butler, Rhiannon Byers, and Jasmine Tupou Wichman. Going into the Canberra Raiders team list now, Apia Nichols, the wingers, Madison Bartlett and Shakaya Tangai. The centre pairing is Shael Robbins-Retty and Mackenzie Wiki. The halves pairing, Zahara Tamara and Ashley Quinlan. They're going to be the most underrated halves pairing of the competition. I'm telling you, that is such a good duo to have for the Canberra Raiders. I'm not kidding. The forward pack, Tamaya Kelly Signs, Shante Tamara in the hooker position, and the other prop is Sophie Hollyman. And the back row, Mona Lisa Soliola, Holly Mae Dodd, and Sumaima Taufa. That also is one of the purchases of the off-season for sure, man. She was the captain of the Parramatta Eels last year. That's going to make a world of difference to that club. An even bigger difference to the Canberra Raiders. The interchange bench now, Emma Barnes, Grace Kemp, Kera Hertina, Matua, and Tara Renke. Tara Renke coming from the Brisbane Tigers system up here in Queensland. This forward pack of the Canberra Raiders should not be trifled with or underestimated, man. They are going to come out and leave bruises on clubs all season long, bro. But that Sharks outfit is undeniable, man. I know the Roosters are favourites at the moment, but looking at Sportsbet, the Sharks are the 4th preferred team in the competition at $8 to win the competition. It's not bad value, bro. That is such a good lineup. As much as I have a soft spot for the Raiders, I can't go past the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. If odds come out later this week, I think the Sharkies would be sitting at about $1.60, about the Raiders being $2.20 or thereabouts. But this Sharks outfit, I think they'll win by 1-12, and they're going to go seriously close in their debut season. Yo, that's it for me this week. Thank you so much. It's round number 1, 2023 NRLW season. So excited. It feels like it's been so long and it's taken even longer to get to this point, but we're finally here. Cannot wait to see how these women go out and prove again why the NRLW competition is the premier Australian women's sport. It's going to be so good this weekend and for the rest of the year. So I hope your team wins this weekend, except for the Gold Coast Titans. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care. Adios.